This conference will now be recorded.
Somebody's coming in.
Okay. Sandra is here. We're back. All right. So we'll call to order Conservation Commission meeting for August 2020. Hope everybody's doing well, still staying healthy. We did have a meeting in March. We had a non-quorum meeting, which was just basically hello and how's everybody doing for July. So we're not going to vote on minutes for that. But we did have a meeting. It seems so long ago in March. So can I get a motion to accept the March 10th meeting?
Motion to accept March 10th meeting minutes.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. All right. So that was March. Can you believe that? March, April, May, June, July, August. That's crazy. Kelly, we got a pretty extensive little list you've got. So you just want to kind of cruise through that?
Sure thing. There's really not a lot to say about these, but I just wanted to touch on everything to keep everyone updated. Tree City USA, no new updates. Dealing with coronavirus, now we're dealing with tropical storm stuff, so not a top priority on the mayor's list right now, I don't think. So that arboricultural manual is still in review with the mayor's office. Coastal interpretive signage. I'm still, well, go ahead, sorry.
Just on the Tree City again, with the storm we just had and potential storms we're going to still have. We're only halfway through, not even halfway through our hurricane season. We probably want to at least keep some pressure on that, because I think as we get into planting season, which you can argue can be this fall or for spring, the amount of tree loss that we've had, we're really going to have to come up with some kind of plan for replacement, because we've lost a tremendous amount of trees from this last storm. So we just want to keep, I just want it to be kept on the radar, that's all.
All right, for sure. Before this storm, I am planning on doing a minimum 100 tree planting throughout town. Yeah. But most of that is just focused on trying to get our parks stocked and some town properties back stocked with trees. I wasn't even looking at street trees yet. So obviously we have a lot more to work on with that in that regard.
Yeah, I think on street trees, we're going to have a discussion, because I think you're going to have the amount of street trees that came down, took power lines out. Street trees are going to have to be a fairly large discussion.
I totally agree. It's been interesting. I mean, on one hand, we have a lot of pressure from UI to take trees down, and then folks want trees, and then we have power outages. So yeah, you guys know the deal. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I've read some stuff on the trees that we wanted, the UI wanted to take down. They fought to keep them from taking them down, and then they fell and took out the power. And now, why didn't the UI take them down when
I know
they're not going to win? Not a winning situation.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Anyways, we could talk about that for a long time. Moving on to the coastal interpretive signage. I'm ironing out the final details with finance on our end and Yukon Sea Grant finance on their end to make sure that everything is in place so I can finally order the signs. The PO has not been issued, but the rec has been put in to our finance department, and we're waiting on the PO from Yukon's finance department, but trying to make this come together before the end of August, because everything is ready. It's just been a lot of waiting for Yukon to fill out a form, waiting for our finance to fill out a form. So I think we're almost there finally. Conservation easements. Things are moving along really well with that. Nate did a great job working with MetroCog to get all of those easements digitized. Right now, MetroCog is working on finalizing an internal viewer. We're not sure yet that we want this to be publicly accessible, just in case people misinterpret a conservation easement as a public entrance or public right-of-way, which they are not. So we're still having those internal conversations, but in the meantime, we are going to have an internal viewer so that we can assess in a variety of ways these easements. So MetroCog is finalizing the internal viewer, and once we have that, I can certainly share it with you folks, just so as long as we keep it somewhat internal until we figure out if that's something we want the public to have access to. Just want to protect people's property rights. So want to iron that out with attorneys, etc. The regional trails application. So MetroCog has been working with WestCog and DEP and I think another group on creating an app that you can run on your phone to access different trails that are within the MetroCog's purview. And they asked us for a variety, for any trails that we might want to include in the app. And we, of course, included Roosevelt Forest, and they're using that as their pilot to start the entire program, which is super cool. They went out there Monday. Oh, let me back up. There was also an Eagle Scout that was interested in updating the trail mapping as his Eagle Scout project. And including in his project, he's also looking to put either mile markers or some sort of marker so that if there's an emergency on the trail, EMS, fire will all have access to where those markers are. So you could just say, hey, I'm at marker A on the blue trail, and they'll know exactly where you are. I guess there was a drill that was run, and it took over an hour for emergency personnel to figure out where that person was. So, so the Eagle Scout is now working with MetroCog, super cool partnership, and they are working together to update the trails. And ultimately, our goal, at least for Roosevelt, is to have QR codes at all the entrances so we can access them on everyone's phone and you can just pull up the map. And we're working on whether that'll be an interactive map that shows where you are. But for now, it'll at least be a static map. So at least people can figure out a better sense of where they are. We could put different backgrounds like topography or aerial imagery. It'll be much better than what we have right now. But they'll be working on a few other trails in town too. And they're not sure which ones they're going to use yet, but Roosevelt was their top priority, which is awesome for the town of Stratford. What else? Sustainable CT. Have I mentioned Sustainable CT? I think I have in past meetings. I have, okay. So we're still trucking along. It's myself and Susmitha Tota, the town planner, are spearheading that effort, trying to gather a lot of information from different town departments, divisions, and submit for the August application deadline. There are 2 certification levels, bronze and silver. Right now, we are thinking that we're going to be at bronze, which gives us more work to do in the future, which is great, because all of the tasks that they have are really great programs and really great different activities that will benefit the town, benefit residents, win-win for everyone. So that's something we would look to do in the spring certification, go to silver, but we're hoping for bronze for now. And that certification will also unlock the door to other grant opportunities or fellowship opportunities to get more aid into Stratford as well. Open space grant update. Not much going on with open space. We are still trying to make contact with the Tomasco parcel owner. The owner is in a nursing home. I don't know if I've explained this to you yet. And due to the COVID-related restrictions, we were unable to meet with him, to get signatures, to talk to him, etc. The owner's son has been trying to work something out, but it sounds like the owner's health is starting to fail. So we're still working on trying to get the Tomasco property closed up. In the meantime, we're also working on the 2017 grant we got, which was for some James Farm Road parcels, as well as some parcels off of Beaver Dam Road. The parcels on Beaver Dam Road, the owner really wants to give them to the town to incorporate into Roosevelt Forest. We don't know if they're fully interested in gifting them to the town or if they would like some reimbursement. So we're still working on the details of that. But because those Beaver Dam parcels are lumped in with the Roosevelt Forest parcel or the James Farm Road parcels, DEP will not allow a change of more than 10% to the grant, and that would be a change of over 10%. So they won't allow us to move forward on the Beaver Dam parcels until the James Farm Road parcels are ready. And those are still in litigation. So we're trying to get something sorted out here, but the cogs are moving and we're getting there. All right, Unified Water Study, not much to report. Everything's going well with that. Nate's been going out there every other week doing sampling, submitting samples. And that's been going great. We did have to postpone a day because of the tropical storm, but we were out there last Thursday and everything went swimmingly.
Pun intended.
I know. All right, 577 Holly Lane. That has essentially been resolved. I don't know where we last left off with Conservation Commission, but they came before inland wetlands again with laboratory analytical data on those stockpiles, and the laboratory analytical data did check out. Everything looked good. We did ask that there's still some solid waste building materials kind of on the fringe of the pile. We asked that that be segregated during construction or prior to backfilling, etc. I did meet with Jim Fitzpatrick on site after inland wetlands, and he just kind of wanted to go over the scope of work. He is still working on getting financing for the project, and he still hasn't begun work. He hasn't posted his performance bond, so we're just going to keep an eye on it. Right now, everything seems to be going okay on that.
Yeah, the only thing comment would be, and we mentioned this before, and we'll update and keep looking at it, is that the property, the building that's still on site, at some point, if he doesn't get funding and it takes a long time for that funding to come through, that building is just going to remain a derelict standing there, and at some point, I believe it could be a safety hazard, or we consider a blight property. So health, safety, and blight. If there's no movement on him getting actual construction work on for the next year or so, then that building should probably be removed from the property, at least get it down so we don't have those issues. So not much more for you to talk about. I'm going to bring it up with our blight inspector and just have a mention with him and just have him take a look at it, and then
okay.
On the safety aspects and the health aspects.
Okay, I can coordinate with Rich as well, and just make him aware. I have no problem. We coordinate a lot on different issues in town, so.
Just think the longer it sits, the more it's it could be a problem. That's all.
Agreed.
I think it would be in our purview just to mention that.
I agree. It did seem when we met too that Jim was looking like things were starting to actually move. He started with making design changes based on COVID restrictions, which I thought was really interesting. So he was making layout changes to the actual restaurant to encompass a lot of the things that we're finding and experiencing in restaurants now with coronavirus. So it looks like he's starting to mobilize a little bit, but we'll keep our eye on that.
The outside dining patios will be incorporated.
Yeah, a lot of outside eating and a lot of like all those large like garage style overhead doors to open and make you feel like you're outside to allow for airflow. Obviously that's just for the summer months, but I thought it was interesting that he was considering that. I haven't heard of any people trying to open restaurants right now that were considering things like that.
Opening restaurants, that's not the big thing right now.
No, not at all. I think that might be why he's having some issues getting funding.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, moving on. I wanted to make you aware there's some things happening, but nothing major yet. We're obviously experiencing a lot of heat right now, and Worcester Pond and then Longbrook Pond, the lower pond, have some pretty significant algal bloom cyanobacteria issues. I'm looking to contract with Aquatic Research, I might be getting the name wrong, with a group to start looking at some of the inputs to that system and see how we can kind of stop some of those inputs or mitigate those inputs before they get into these pond systems. Because right now, our treatment method is to treat like the symptom of what's happening. So we're just dumping chemicals into these ponds, just trying to treat the symptoms as opposed to figuring out what the causes are and kind of mitigating before it becomes an issue. So right now, we're still waiting on permits from DEP to put chemicals in to try and mitigate those issues. DEP is backed up. Their offices are closed. We've been waiting for a month and a half, 2 months now. So the ponds are bright green and everyone is upset about it, and rightfully so. So while we're waiting on that, I'm obtaining a proposal for a company to start researching some of what the inputs to the pond are. I don't want to research it to death, but I want to make sure that we fully understand what's going on before we continue on with a program of just putting chemicals in the pond and chemicals in the pond.
There has to be, and that's an ongoing problem that's been forever and ever and ever. And Laura had some comment on that, and I commented back that you're getting one runoff going in there with fertilizers, which is causing it.
Yep.
You've got a shallow pond, which is going to heat up very quickly, which will cause it. There's no tree shade around the pond for almost the entire pond. It's in a bowl in the bottom, so all the heat it's a big heat sink that goes in there. At the rainstorms that came in, which threw a lot of rain in it. They built that catchment area up, which was supposed to be a pseudo marsh to kind of filter stuff coming through, which really has never been maintained very well.
Well, it's not even.
That
Water's not even running through it.
and so yeah, there's all those mitigating factors there that that's an issue. There's got to be a study. I did put a email in to Save the Sound just to see if they've had any discussion on this in the past. And Kelly, we may want to, if they have any interest, they may have like a 319 grant or something that we can get funding from them to go into looking at that problem and see if we could take care of it. So
Right. Yeah, we did. I know that in the past, a lot of these issues have been brought up and a lot of ideas have been brought up on how to mitigate them, but they were, from what I understand, they were not generally widely accepted by the public because it was drastic changes to make to the law and whatever. So
Right.
I just kind of want to refresh that and just get more information so that we can make an informed decision on do we want to keep dumping chemicals in and doing it that way? That's fine if that's what everyone wants, but I prefer not to do that, and I'd just like to understand the system a little bit better. But I just wanted to make you all aware that that conversation is going on with, I think, Public Works Committee, Longbrook Park Commission, and just want to let you know that we're working on it.
Kelly,
Go ahead, Ange.
I have a question. Does Motil Pond feed into that? Is that part of that system?
No, Motil
No.
Pond I believe is
Okay.
Raven Stream, but Motil Pond is also one of the ponds that we're treating, but I'm kind of starting with the Longbrook Pond system just because it's flashier, bigger, more people are experiencing that. So I want to start there and then move on to Motil's Pond afterward. But Motil's, it's Brewster, Longbrook, and Motil are all included in that permit application for treatments with DEP that we're waiting on. So that
Okay.
is included.
Just wondering.
Why is Worcester Pond different? Worcester Pond, I think, is at the head of what flows into Longbrook.
No, Worcester Pond is Bruce Brook, so it goes down from like the Nell area down to Worcester, and then it cuts across all the way to the Bridgeport line.
But there's an algae problem there.
Brewster Pond has a lot more vegetation around its edge, and it has a lot more shade. That's something that we could also look into, but it is more at the headwaters before Bruce Brook is channelized in a concrete culvert and shot across to Bridgeport. So at that area, I think it's a little bit more of a healthy water course. It also, I don't think, has as many stormwater inputs.
Right.
From what I understand, Brewster Pond is pretty much all stormwater. It's a giant stormwater detention basin at this point. So it's getting direct untreated stormwater directly from like the whole Paradise Green area, which is pretty heavily developed compared to the area surrounding Worcester, I think, and north of Worcester. I think the houses are a little more separated up there with a little more woods.
So there's no freshwater stream that goes into Longbrook, into Brewster, right? It's just all catchment. I tried looking up. I couldn't.
I haven't found anything. I don't think that there is, as far as I know.
Well,
I could be wrong on that though, because I'm still getting everything together here.
Again, that would be a big problem for that. So yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't help. That's for sure.
Just as we get into new business, I just want to remind me to bring up Worcester Pond again, just when we get down there.
Brewster?
I'm Worcester Pond.
Worcester.
Yes, I'm sure I can add to that as well. All right, so that's Brewster Pond, Longbrook Pond. Also want to quickly touch upon our inland wetlands membership. The way that our charter or town code, I'm getting them confused, whatever, I think it's the charter, is written. There are supposed to be 2 members of Conservation Commission sitting on inland wetlands. Right now, we only have 1, Bill McCann, thank you. I know, Angela, I believe you expressed interest in that. We don't have a way to, I mean, I think we can kick someone off of inland wetlands, but we're trying right now to get 1 member who has never really shown up to any meetings to formally resign, just to go through that more formal process. And after that, after we have that opening, then I was going to send out the application to everyone on Conservation Commission, and whoever wants to apply can apply, and we can figure out membership from there. But I would like to get everything kind of squared away and make sure that we're following the town code and the way that inland wetlands is supposed to be set up. So more to come on that. I did send out a letter to the commission member on the inland wetlands, and I sent it certified. He received it. I just got it back in the mail. So hopefully we'll be hearing from that member soon, and we can open it up to another member on Conservation Commission.
Okay, cool. Bill, yes. Bill, I think you're muted maybe?
Oh no, he's been having a lot of tech issues.
I see your mouth moving, Bill. I see it. No, he's got nothing. You can, there is a thing where you can call in on the phone too.
Yeah, you can call in or you can chat, text chat too.
Yeah.
Maybe, does he know just to click the Bill, you know, just to click the microphone to make it go from green to red?
Yeah, it looks like he does.
Bill, this is nice. These people don't appreciate a muted Bill McCann.
Oh.
I actually do myself. All right. All right. So Bill, if you know somebody, shake your head once for yes, twice for no. If there's somebody on the commission you want us to just take out, that way we can open up a spot for Angela. Okay. All right. That was one shake. All right.
What happened to Angela?
Angela decided she didn't want to be with us anymore. Oh, she is. Okay. All right. Anything else for Kelly? Anybody have any questions? Laura has a question.
Okay. Well, if you can go back to the Roosevelt Fort, and you said that there was a
Roosevelt Forest.
You said that there was a regional trail that somebody went out there and they took them a long time to find it. What was that training? What group did that training?
Sure. So I was just told about this from the Boy Scout leader and the Eagle Scout that is working on this project. They said that they did some sort of mock training of some sort with, I want to say, the fire department, and they pretended that someone broke their arm or their leg on one of the trails, and to see what the response time would be. And
so
I got
EMS, the fire department.
What'd you say? Sorry.
This would have been EMS and the fire department.
Yes, I believe so.
Did they know test? They knew it was a test.
That was not made clear to me whether they knew it was a test or not. But I think that they had to know it was a test. Otherwise, that's illegal to do a fake 911 call.
Yeah.
But that story I was told was very murky on that specific item. But
so they were deployed, and they were deployed to find a missing person on the trail, and it took them over an hour to find somebody.
Yes, that is what I was told. But I don't know when this took place or any of those details. I can find that out for you, but I think either way it is smart, especially with the amount of potentially new hikers and people experiencing the environment, especially through the coronavirus situation we're in. So I think it is a smart idea and a good Boy Scout project to put markers on the trails like that.
It's a great project, yeah.
I just wanted to bring it up at public safety. That's why I just wanted to know if.
Okay, I do believe that his name is Winston, the Boy Scout. He's working with Chuck Emerson, who sits on the Roosevelt Forest Committee, and I believe they've already started reaching out with folks at EMS on this project. But our plan is to incorporate them entirely into the planning to make sure that whatever is decided by the Boy Scout, that it makes sense for EMS and emergency personnel as well, not just for the Boy Scouts. So.
Pretty disconcerting that it took that long.
There was something on the news today. There was some guy, some baseball player, basketball player, or I can't remember, celebrities that had 30 acres of land. He got lost on his 30 acres of land. It took him a day to find 30 acres of land. So,
wow, that's not a large parcel really to get lost on.
Not really.
Wow.
All right. Okay, well, that is a good project, though. It really is.
I just had another on the Bruce Brook mailing. Did that ever happen or go out?
It didn't go out. We put it on the website for now. We didn't put it out. Sorry, there's a dog coming over. We didn't put it out to the public yet. No, we didn't do a mailing.
So it is on the website for conservation, or?
Right now it's linked to the stormwater website that we have for our MS4 permit, but that is a good idea, and I will put that on the conservation page as well, because that is a perfect cross-posting.
Yeah. Okay.
And Laura, while I'm talking to you, I wanted to mention that I have been reaching out to nurseries to try and find someone who will give us a tree discount, and I haven't found anyone yet. So if you have any leads from anyone else, let me know, but I've been leaving messages with people and they're not even calling me back, so.
Have you called
I'll get some information on that, Kelly. I'll link you up.
Maybe you could help us. I didn't even think about that.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great, Cassandra. Thank you.
Yeah, let's, yeah, there's a couple out there that maybe we can, that I've worked with that maybe will help too.
Okay.
Cool.
Great. And then before we go on, I saw Bill McCann said we have room for an alternate on inland wetlands as well, which we have to look into that. But so we may have room for more than just one of you folks.
Cool.
All right.
All right. I think we also still have somebody to go on Roosevelt Forest too. They were looking for somebody there too. So we have to.
I would love to take the forest.
I think
You need
didn't we have somebody? I think we did. Somebody was looking where they were looking for somebody to get on Roosevelt Forest Commission also from conservation. I could be wrong, but we'll double check on that.
If there's an application to fill out, please forward.
Okay, I'll look into that. I'm honestly not sure. They haven't met at all during this time, so we'll out of the loop on Roosevelt Forest Commission.
Okay. All right. Let's. Anything else for Kelly? Just one thing.
I just had a
One
question on Unified.
Go first.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Who is it? Jen?
I had a question on Unified Water Study. You said it's going well, Kelly. Any anomalies? What does the quality look like? Can you give us some high level beats on what the output is?
Nothing too surprising. I mean, dissolved oxygen's going down the hotter it gets. Chlorophyll's going up as the hotter it gets. So nothing. Temperature's going up, obviously, too. Nothing outstanding or exciting. During the macrophyte sampling, actually, this was pretty interesting. I missed it last year because I wasn't here, but I went out with Nate this year. We just do macrophyte sampling for 3 weeks, and that's essentially you're tossing a rake off of 3 different sampling points, north, south, east, and west at each point, tossing a steel rake out on a rope, and you pull it back in, and you kind of just doing a qualitative assessment of any macrophytes like seaweeds and things of that nature, what might be coming up on that rake. And we did have a lot of oysters come up. So Nate never saw that before. So that was kind of cool. But I don't know what that means in terms of the larger project. I don't know if they've seen that at other locations or not, but we thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it could be the oyster boats also dumping oysters in different locations to get them started. So,
Yep.
yeah, it's good.
Okay, I have a question. What's the study that's going on down at Short Beach, like on Main Street? There's been a tent set up and people are out on like a platoon boat.
I'm not sure. Nate actually did text me asking me what was going on over there today, and I texted at the end of the day, and I've had time to look at it. Okay. It could be. My first initial thought is that OU9, the Raymark Superfund site. OU9 is the Short Beach landfill. They are getting started on assessing that and figuring out a remedy. They just did, and I think mid-July, they just did the survey of the entire landfill. EPA, of course, is funding and running the project for that. But I'm not sure about this pontoon boat that you're mentioning. So I'll look into that because I'm curious. I'm not sure. But that'd be my first guess. That or the onion.
Okay, no, because they had a tent set up. They had several pickup trucks with, like, again, sampling equipment. Okay. And then, because I'm taking my son to camp back and forth morning and afternoon. This morning they were starting up, and this afternoon they were on like this, it looks like to me, a pontoon boat. One of those, like.
Kelly, talked to John Casey about that, because I know that part of the Raymark in the marsh area, the town was responsible to put in some sort of a berm, and they might be working on that. I know we just funded it, so.
Okay, I'll touch base with John as well, and my contacts at EPA.
One other thing as we go back up to coastal interpretive signage is that did get a couple emails and correspondence with people about Burma Road and the amount of turtles and diamondback terrapins are crossing over against Smush. And we're looking for signage to go up there. I mentioned it at the July meeting, but up now since we have a forum. Something I'm going to look into. Again, I'll work with Kelly a little bit on this, but the problem with signage going up there, every sign that's ever been put up on the Burma Road that has a conservation or a slow down for wildlife has been immediately
Are the new turtle ones gone?
taken away. Yeah, turtle ones are gone. Everything.
Gone.
Yeah, they just as soon as you put them up, the people come along and take it. So
I did run into our sign fabricator in our highway division, and he was fabricating signs for that. So they may be going up soon. And one of my colleagues from UConn, when I studied there, is doing independent research on that roadway for diamondback terrapin fatalities. So after we install those signs, I was hoping to look at his research and see how that may or may not be impacting mortality on that roadway.
Cool. Yeah, actually, just as an aside, I am have a conversation with the Prospect Park Zoo, who are doing drone studies of diamondback terrapins in Long Island Sound down New York, down toward New York. So I'm looking to see if he wants to expand his territory and his study up to us in the Houstonic River and the marshes to see if that's something that interests him. So I'll let you know if he bites on that, and maybe we get more studies. The more studies we have, the more information we have, the more information we have, the more we can do. So I've been seeing a lot of, just as an anecdote, at the turn of the tide, we're seeing quite a few diamondback terrapins in the river. So it's kind of cool to see them out there.
Very cool.
I have a question. Maybe just kind of throwing this out there. If you painted the turtles on the road, would that help? Again, I know you probably don't know the answer, but just, kind of like a slowdown.
Like a crosswalk almost?
Yeah, like a crosswalk, or did it along the road? Because I think, again, people see it, they slow down instead of putting the signs up.
That's state road?
That can't be stolen. It is a state road, but we could coordinate with the state on that effort potentially.
You have to ask them if they allow us to do that. I thought you were actually wanting to paint the turtles. I thought that would be just.
No, I mean paint turtles on
orange.
I like that idea.
Day glow, so they could.
Yep.
Greg,
Right.
I have a question.
Signage.
Yeah.
So there's also another state road, along 130, that strip that always gets mowed over there where all the milkweed is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there any way we could get some signs up over there, even though it's a state road? It's like where over there by Broad Street. It always gets mowed down in its state, and they always mow it roughly now, when everything's feeding right before they crystallize. So I don't know if there's any way we could coordinate anything with the state over there. And then I was thinking, if not, because people tend to really notice, I saw some ladies picking caterpillars the other day because they were scared. There's also an area which I was wondering if was town, and maybe we can consider it an easement or make it a pathway. There's a section of land along Lockwood Ave in between 130. Right there, that little triangle, when Broad Street comes to Ferry Boulevard, there's that street, that's Lockwood. So there's a little triangle there. So I think that might be ours and not state. So I was wondering if we can't maintain or interfere with the state in that area of flower, if we could maybe take that over as a pollinator pathway garden to kind of fulfill that need, I guess.
Yeah, I think we can take a look at that.
I think kind of like new business, but I feel like it's just signage too, so I don't know.
Yeah, I like the idea of that. I know the spot you're talking about, and it always seems to get mowed down, and I'm not sure if the house is behind it. People like it looks like it's unkempt. Yeah.
No, I think it's state road. I think it's state. The state comes and mows it, and they always mow it spring and fall. You know what I mean? So
No,
they're gonna mow it.
The little triangle spot you're talking about, I know too. Yeah, that seems to get.
Oh yeah, that.
All right, let's take a look at that. I think a lot of it has to do with safety too. That if it blocks views. But I do agree with you. A lot of that stuff, it's amazing. You drive by and you can see all the milkweed and all in there. It really looks cool. The next time you go by, it's all gone. So yeah. Well, let's take a look at that. I'd like to take a look at that.
I'll look into that.
Cool.
Greg, can I comment about the turtle signage on the road?
Yep.
I think that painting it on the road is a fabulous idea, and then having turtle crossing signs where they're painted on the road will also serve
Yeah.
as a good, people haven't really stolen too much the duck crossing signs on East Main Street.
Yeah.
And, there's things in other areas. And I think that the idea of painting it is a wonderful idea.
Yeah. I think we should really look at that. It's a very good idea, Andrew. I love it.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And then having the signage on the side to give a heads up as well.
Or here, Karen, can I jump on that? Maybe instead of putting up turtle crossing signs, because everybody wants turtles, just put up duck crossing, because nobody's going to steal those.
Normally, but what I've seen from other groups, what I've talked to other groups, is you put wildlife crossing or slow down for our wildlife, and those don't seem to go very quickly. The turtle crossings are they're the ones that go.
Okay. Yeah, you just need something to identify why the markings are on the road.
Was intended.
And that's what I was getting at. So I don't care how you phrase it, as long as it's identified as to why the markings are there.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. All right. I like the. So I wanted volunteers to go paint the road, probably right around 10 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning. You got to paint very fast. That's the only thing. Very, very fast. All right. All right. We'll go to old business. Let me just give you an update. I'm going to go off picture for a minute. The August 7th notes. Just quick. In Milford Point, all of the AMOY chicks were fledged and made it through the storm. AMOY, what is that?
American Oyster Catcher.
The oyster catchers, yeah, sorry. Yep. All fledged, made it through the storm. Piping plovers had fledged 2 before the storm, fledged 2 more just before the storm, still alive. We appear to have lost 2 chicks. There are 5 remaining of the youngest of the piping plovers and 3 left on the backside. Again, these are areas that they're denote. Fledged 2 lease terns, chicks, lots of other fledgings from other sites. String fencing at Milford Point and Stratford Point seem to have made a big impact this year. Saw photographers out at Milford Point have flushed a large SCSA. Shorebird disturbance surveys were done. Milford Point seeing a lot of migratory shorebirds. See definitely difference in the number of birds depending on the number of people. I can send this information. What I'll do is it's pretty extensive. I don't want to go through the whole thing. But again, it seems to be that we mentioned it at the last meeting. Seems to be that not having a lot of people on the beaches this year, especially non-residents coming on the beaches. I know that's a controversial thing, but just having residents and non-residents not allowed on their beaches seem to have made a big impact on people not disturbing the birds that are in their town. So interesting little survey. What I'll do is I'll copy that and I'll send it all to you, the last call. They're still making calls on Fridays, every Friday on the shorebirds. And so I'll send this last one out to everybody. But again, some success stories there, which is kind of fun, kind of nice to hear.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ange.
Okay. Now I was just going to follow up with Kelly. You've been on my emails. Kelly's been on the emails with the Yukon Conservation Training Program. We're going to be out at Russian Beach at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're doing 3 spots per survey. And Kelly, you asked about the goldenrods. It was hard to explain over email. The lady I was talking to lives across the street. She's kind of in that white house with the picket fence on the corner. And she was saying that, again, I don't know who did it. She wasn't blaming anybody. But again, the goldenrod, whoever mowed most of it down, close to her house. She wasn't talking about the area down closer towards the seawall.
Okay. Let's talk offline on that. I want to get that specific location to understand that better. But do you want to just explain to everyone else what your project is? I don't know if everyone knows.
Okay. So again, this was supposed to happen earlier in the year, but with everything, it was pushed back. Yukon has a program called the CTP, or Conservation Training Program. It's entirely volunteer staffed. I'm working with a 17-year-old from Fairfield, and we have an overseer from Yukon, Nicole Freed somebody, if anybody knows her. And so again, I let my mentee, so to speak, take her role on this. She's into pollinators. So we're comparing the area across from Pequot Library in Southport, which is part of the Aspetuck Land Trust, to Russian Beach to see what plants are there and what pollinator species are in both areas. So we've already been out 3 times, and I think tomorrow's our 4th. So yeah, we're gonna start at Russian Beach at about 9, and then we're gonna go down to Pequot Library after that. So goldenrod is a big hit for the pollinators. So.
And my hay fever enjoys it too.
I'm sorry, what?
A hay fever enjoys it.
Well, from it, it's actually ragweed, not as
Yeah.
Right. Just asked. I want to know who the valued customer is. Who's the valued customer?
Look off the audio. Huh? Take off the audio.
Who just called in? Someone just called in.
Bill, I think. Bill just got on, but then it's crazy. So, all right. Okay. All right, so we had open space inventory update. Willie, anything to report on that? We really kind of opened that already, Kelly, right?
Yeah, I really would like to get a priority list of properties together so that we can kind of jump on future grant opportunities. We were delayed a little bit this year with coronavirus, and we didn't feel as though we had enough past success stories with our last 2 grant applications to really have a strong application this period. So obviously we need to get those success stories, but it's helpful if we have moving forward.
One who's not speaking to mute them.
Good. Kelly can do that. You may want to mute if we keep getting that, Kel, because I was live. I couldn't hear you. Okay. All right. If you're not speaking, just hit the mute button so we just don't get that reverb as much as possible. All right. We do have new business. Kelly with Crown Castle. You want to bring that everybody up to speed on this? A flagpole. So it's not a flagpole, it's a pole, not a flagpole.
Cell tower, yep. So I don't know the entire backstory, but at some point we've been approached by Crown Castle Towers to install a cell phone monopole tower on the Hickory Woods parcel located off of Chapel Street, adjacent to the Hickory Woods condominiums. In the past, I have spoken with you guys about this parcel because we had a resident approach us looking to purchase it, and I know that the Conservation Commission, and myself included, have been interested in putting an easement or a deed restriction on that property because it is so valuable. So Smith, the town planner, did approach me with this proposal that was before them for a planning 824 review to determine if this was aligned with the town POCD, et cetera, if use. So she approached me and I gave her my back history on the property, and they went through their 824 review, and they ultimately said that they wanted an environmental review from the Conservation Commission. I explained that we were really a regulatory body, but that we can talk about it at Conservation Commission and we can provide recommendations or input on the proposal. The proposal includes an access road coming off of the access for the Hickory Woods condominium for utilities and truck vehicle access, and then an 80 foot by 80 foot square area where they would install the monopole cell tower. So I'll open up the floor to you folks on what you guys think. I'm still in support of putting an easement on the property. This isn't really an intense property use, but it does involve some of the development. It will have to go before Connecticut Siting Council, and it will not be going before our municipal and wetlands agency because Siting Council will take care of that for us, essentially.
All right. So one of the things with cell towers is that, 80 by 80 foot is a cell tower, but it's also a building is going to be placed on that site because they have to have the control building that's there. So it's not just a tower. It's not just the towers in the middle of an 80 foot by 80 foot piece of property. They'll probably utilize just about every inch of that 80 foot by 80 foot for the tower, the building, the support, whatever else they need to because I have one at the zoo. So I know I can show you exactly what it looks like. It's not just a tower standing in the middle of the woods. So it's a lot more to it. There's gonna be a fence around it. There'll be a containment fence around it, so people can't get close to it. So so there's a lot more entailed than just a pole sticking out of the ground.
Okay, I have a question because I'm looking at a map right now. So when you talk about the access road, would that come out on Chapel, Kings Row?
It'd come out off of Chapel. If you can see where the Hickory Woods condominium is, they have an access road off Chapel. You would go through their access entrance and then you would come down and the whole development area would be in the northwestern portion. But if you overlay the inland wetland soils map, that whole swath there is designated right now as wetlands. Of course, they're going to need some more information before they go to siting council, but that was one of my questions. I wanted more information on listed species surveys, delineation of inland wetlands, where they are, what kind of impacts, long-term, short-term, during construction, post-construction. They obviously aren't at that stage yet, but that's some information I was looking for personally.
There's a brook running through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pumpkin Brook right there too.
Because it's like River Valley Road, Forest Road, that brook right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pumpkin ground.
Okay.
Okay.
Right behind.
Well, are you looking for discussion on this, like a vote to accept or deny? What are we looking for, Kelly, here?
I was told an environmental review, so I guess any input on whether the Conservation Commission supports this use, whether you'd want more information, whatever your pleasure is, whatever you guys are thinking.
You're thinking that if we did the easement would not be for the cell tower, it would just be open space.
Initially, I was envisioning putting an easement on the whole property, but that was before I was informed about this entire proposal for the cell tower. So we could pull that portion out. We could use their access road as a public access road as well, so that if we could work that out, obviously in the lease agreement. So we could have some more public access to that property as open space. There's a lot of different ways I think we can approach this.
So
I don't think they wanted public access.
Well, yeah, you can't have too many public access by the tower. They won't really like that. But
to do hunting back there.
Yeah, that was where the hunter wanted to be, his private hunting reserve back there too. Yep. So, I mean, we can have more discussion, but my feeling is that we don't have enough information to make a statement right now. I think we need more information, and we have to look at more of the ramifications and or the mixed use. If there is a mixed use where they put the road in, which then becomes an access point for residents to get there, that may be okay. But I don't think we have enough information to.
What is the acreage?
To
Do
make
you
a
know what
judgment.
the acreage is?
This is 80 by 80, right? That's what they want.
No,
Or they want the whole thing.
The whole parcel, I want to say off the top of my head, it's about 15 acres or so.
And 80 by 80 of that would be for the cell tower.
Right.
Right.
So-
So plus the access road.
Right. Plus the access road getting into it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So what's our pleasure, guys? Again, I think we need more information, maybe a drawing and maybe some more information on whether or not they're willing to work this with other groups. I mean, my first inclination is I'd rather not see a cell tower there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that
I
think this is a Conservation Commission. I think the first thing is we'd rather not see something built there that cell towers also have some conservation ickies about it with radio waves and birds smashing into it. Now, that being said, my red-tailed hawks love sitting on top of our pole and surveying the entire area. The baby's been up there the whole season. So
I think part of the concern on the town side was to be able to eliminate that guy that wants to buy it for hunting.
well, yeah, that's right.
Just
I believe we declined his offer at this point, from what I understand.
Yeah, we just back, so.
But we also could perhaps, we can ask the applicant to come in and speak to the commission and answer our questions, if that's something that you guys are interested in.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that's fair. I think it's a fair thing. Yep. And if we can, before then, get all the information we can so we can have questions for him, I think that would be okay. All right. I would, is everybody in agreement with that? Straw poll? Okay.
I'm just looking at the minutes from that, from where it passed at planning, and it said the amendment based on a subject to an environmental review by Conservation Commission. So just so you know, that narrow language.
Right.
Thank you.
And so other new business, before we go into other new business, I just want to just do a roll call here. I got Karen is still on the line. Jen is there. Sandra, Bill is on Mike now. Angela, Eileen, me, Laura. Who is valued customer? Can I please get who the valued customer is down there?
Joe.
Who is that? Joe.
Joe.
You, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, you're a valued customer? What the
I
hell?
don't know.
Highly valuable.
I just wanted to make sure we knew who was on the line here, and also for Eileen, who's taking minutes and keeping score here. Another new business. One of the things I wanted to bring up, and Kelly was going to talk about it, was the Worcester Pond. We've had some people calling about Worcester Pond. I'm pretty sure Kelly's gotten the phone calls, and so Kelly, you want to just bring us up to speed on that a little?
Most of the calls I've gotten that have increased in this past week have been related to garbage dumping issues, fishing line dumping issues. But yep. I did swing by, and we did have a fishing line wrapped around a bird that was hanging from a tree, which was rather unsightly. But a lot of the issues are related to dumping and garbage. And aside from just loading the place up with garbage cans, I mean, it's kind of like the same issue we've been talking about at Birdseye and Monsauk, et cetera. But we are trying to think of solutions. I do know that part of the tree planting, not that's kind of related, but the tree planting plan I had was going to include some additional plantings in Worcester to try and spruce that area up. But I'm still ruminating on the best solution moving forward. I've had thoughts of perhaps revamping the park altogether. It is kind of tired when you approach it, and maybe that isn't giving the best impression for folks, and maybe that's opening the door for something. I'm not quite sure, but that's kind of my experience so far, and maybe you've heard differently.
Yeah, the experience I'm hearing are basically more people are using the park, more people around the pond. That's not unexpected because we're seeing that everywhere during COVID. People are getting out and can't go any place, so they're just finding their local neighborhood place, or they're driving around, and it could be people. Oh, Valley, there he is. Hey, Joe, you look like a valued customer. You really do. Oh my God. Now I know why. So I think what's happening is we're just getting more usage of a park that has not had a lot of usage besides the neighborhood. I've had getting calls saying a lot of New York cars coming through, a lot of people from out of town are just looking for places to hang out because they can't hang out where they are. So again, this is back to what we've talked about umpteen times. It's who is going to be there to monitor, who's going to be there to make sure that people are doing the right things. Police department can go by there, but their resources are low. I was just there not long ago, took this little one over here fishing in the pond, and we were catching fish to beat the band in there. And there were herons, and there were egrets, and there were carp, and so the pond looked relatively doing all right when I was there. So I'm not sure if things have really radically changed over time. So I just think what's happening is people are using it way more than people are normally seeing to be used.
Right, and that's certainly not unique to Stratford. I mean, that's every state park. I mean, we all know this. I also do want to bring up, we're having the same issues at Farm Mill River Park. Folks are going to the swimming hole and they're leaving all of their garbage down there.
Yeah, that's
absolutely repulsive. But it's just another that we can't really get garbage cans down there because of the access issues, and we're trying to make that a carry in, carry out type of environment. So it's nothing new. I mean, I think these issues have been going on for a long time at this point.
All right.
Yeah. Can I just say something about Worcester? And I know New Haven has these. They have those. It looks like little bird houses, but like where you could put the fishing tackle when you're done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the PVC monofilament recycling bins.
Yeah. Say this.
I've thought of installing those, but that's still going to take someone to put it in there. And hopefully that would encourage someone to recycle it. But
let me see if I can get those put in for us. Just again, just a word of caution. They're great, but people will use those to stuff their beer cans, their soda cans, their garbage. So within 5 minutes, those things are shoved with everything but fishing line. So again, they have to be maintained and cleaned out on a regular basis. So.
Agreed. So I haven't brought it up to the park superintendent yet, but I didn't see any big bellies there. I don't know if that's appropriate location for a big belly garbage can. But it may be if because it's an easy access for us to clean out. So I'm going to explore that option as well.
That would make sense, Kelly, because there is the playground right there too, and the people are there's kids playing and they bring food down there, so that would be sense to have one or two down. Like I said, I was down there. People were coming in, but literally the people fishing there are not this little one here. These are adults fishing in there, and it actually looked like subsistence fishing, like they were catching whatever they catch. They were putting in the bucket to take out of there. So it wasn't like just catch and release. It was I need it for either for food or for bait or for whatever, and that's the concerning part. But again, we have to have somebody watching it all the time.
Right, because we do have a sign that says catch and release, but a sign is just a sign. So.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Just another place.
Yes.
And one more thing on my plate was just the amount of bear sightings in Stratford.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
I think we don't have a lot of people on our Facebook page, so it's not really something, if we put something out there, it's going to reach a lot of people, but it may be something to talk about bears. I have a little bit of a bully pulpit. I may bring it up on Wednesday morning. I have a Thursday morning, I have a radio thing with ICC. I may bring that up tomorrow, just as a cautionary tale for people. But again, this has been more around Roosevelt Forest, sightings have been all over the town, everywhere.
Right. That is a good point. I should have put that on the agenda. I did attend a statewide municipal meeting with CT Deep on bears in the state, how they're becoming more prevalent, how we're having more bear and human interactions, and creating municipal bear ordinances. I did look into our ordinance on feeding wildlife, and it isn't specific to bears. But it is something I want to ruminate a little bit and see if we can spruce it up. There are other towns that impose very heavy fines if you are knowingly feeding bears, or if you have a bird feeder out. If a municipal rep tells you, hey, you got to get that thing inside, and you put it back out, they will fine you in other towns. So it's something we need to ruminate a little bit and look into as we get these increased bear-human interactions. We also did get an email from a resident about that they were walking down Peters Lane and saw 2 bear right on the road, and have requested that we put bear signage up in Roosevelt Forest. But again, this is just more signs. So.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you, signs are signs. Well, in Roosevelt Forest, I think they're expecting to see a squirrel.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bear, but Roosevelt Forest also has a lot of coyote in there. They have bobcat in there, fishers in there. They have bears. I mean, it's we are going into their habitat. So,
Kelly, along that line, I have a silly question because I know this question is going to come up from somebody. The people in town who do have chickens, because I know they are a draw to bears, would that be impacted?
I think that there is a minimum zoning for chickens, and I don't know the specifics on that in town, but I don't know that bears would necessarily target chickens. I've had chickens, and we've never had bear try and get chickens before. Personally, that's just my anecdotal story.
But the coyotes.
Yes, coyote, skunk, raccoon, they all love chickens. But we have had I'm in Oxford, and we have had bears ruin our honeybee hives, and they obviously love their honey. So, and they love bird feeders, garbage cans. So I'm more concerned about the garbage can bird feeder types, because that's, I think, more ubiquitous than folks having chickens.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
well,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, go
No,
ahead.
I know that question's gonna come up, because once it gets publicized, people are like, oh my God, I have chickens and blah, 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 blah. You know, do I have to get rid of my chickens?
I don't believe they're going to go after the chickens, but they will go after the feed.
Yeah.
So that's the
It's
thing.
the same thing with the feral cats. I looked at that Kelly referenced before when we were talking about the feral issue in Stratford. And basically we weren't going to pursue it because we didn't want to make it legal for people to do outside feeding of animals, which includes cats.
Difficult. Okay. All right, but it's just something that in Pennsylvania and rural New York, and they've been living with bears for a long time and have gotten a lot of information out on bears, and now we're starting to see that here, which I don't think people are very cognizant of what this issue is. So we may have to look at some kind of something. I'm not sure what it'd be.
Right. And part of the conversation we had with DEEP and the other participating municipalities was that DEEP was going to help us create educational literature to give out to residents and get the word on the street that there are bears here. Yeah, it can be pretty urban where you are, but the bears are coming in, they're coming back, and there's no stopping them at this point. So that educational information is forthcoming, but I will share it with you as soon as we get it.
Right.
I think Karen has something to say, but Karen, you're on mute. If you could unmute yourself. I think she's been trying to talk, but I've seen her mouth moving and nothing coming out for a while.
There she goes.
There you go. You're talking, Karen. Try to go again.
I can't get it to unmute.
We can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Across the street from my home, the people there had a bird feeder in their backyard, and a bear came and destroyed the bird feeder, ate all the feed, and then bent the pole in half. So they're close, and they're maybe in your radio show you can mention that, that the bird feeders are an attraction.
Yeah, I will. That's that again. I got to remember. I've been on so many times. I thought I mentioned it before, but I may have to do it again, because I think maybe we talked about bobcats. Somebody called up bobcats. But I will just add
But
that.
can we put it on our Facebook page?
Yeah.
That it's recommended to take the feeders in because it's an attraction and it brings them close to the homes, and same thing with the garbage cans to secure them.
Yep, garbage cans. Again, it's something that Stratford and this area has never had to worry about getting bear-proof garbage cans, but it looks like we may have to start thinking about it.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else out there?
Just a quick question about the coyotes, and maybe because I'm from California, so I'm super sensitive, but they are such a menace, and one neighborhood gets rid of them and then they go on to the next, and they become more and more suburban, at least in Southern California they're just like littered in my sister's entire neighborhood in Pasadena. So I think it's something to keep an eye out on. That potential.
Yeah,
Again, I don't know.
Lots of fox, lots of bobcat, lots of coyote, bears now. So again, we're seeing more and more come in to the area. And again, people are not really used to seeing that. So again, our job would be mostly to try to educate people at this point, to tell them what's going on.
I guess when I'm referring to the coyotes, I mean more, what are we going to do to be aware that they may be encroaching, because they are actually problematic, whereas with foxes and bears, I think it is more of an education piece, where coyotes are a menace.
Yeah, they are considered a varmint. So that's one of the things. And again, it goes back to the same thing. Don't feed your cat outside. Don't leave your cat outside. Don't put the food outside for anything. And try to make it unpalatable for them to be around by noise and keeping things lit up. And
they're coming for the easy food.
So I agree. I get in California, they're a little bit more. They've been used to people out there a little more than they've been around here. But it's going to get to that point. It will. It definitely will.
And I just want to add really quickly that education, I think, is very important now, especially we are seeing an influx of New Yorkers coming from the city that are certainly not comfortable or used to being around some of these wildlife species that are coming in. So, so I think education at this point is very important.
I agree with you. And then again, just looking at the amount of houses that are being sold in Stratford are the majority are people who live in the city coming back to the suburbs where they were just going to the city. Now they're returning back here. So I agree with you, Kelly. It's going to be a lot of people who freak out about something that they have no information about.
Right.
I got an email today. Somebody took a picture of a bobcat, thought it was a tiger.
Oh dear.
Is this a tiger? And I'm like, no.
Oh dear.
Well, the bobcats have that striping on their front there. So they took a picture of it, saw the striping, and said, "Oh, it must be a tiger." I'm like, "Oh my goodness gracious." Okay. Joe Krapisky sent me an email. I'm sure Kelly, you got it too, about the fishing at the pond in. It says that they had I guess a fishing derby.
Yeah.
Roosevelt Forest. Yeah. Again, just something to bring up. He did email it. It says it's a conservation area. It's a wildlife refuge, and I don't think that there's fishing allowed. But I guess they're a recreational group went in there fish. I basically said, I don't know if it was a town. Was it a town group or was it a?
It was a town nature camp that did it, and I have to circle back with Amy Noor, the rec superintendent. I don't think they're going to be doing that again. I think that was like a kind of mistake, one-off type deal. But we have had meetings before COVID with Roosevelt Forest Committee, and there were conversations about having some sort of catch and release fishing there, but nothing became of it. But it was a conversation that was had. So.
Well, I remember, and again, I'm just maybe I'm blanking out a little bit. But I remember them having fishing derbies at Roosevelt Forest in that pond in the past. I do. I remember them doing it all the time. So, but if it's catch and release, it's another story. But again, we're going back to that group that I just mentioned. These people coming from New York, and they come in, they get a fishing zone, they fish. They're not fishing for catch and release. They're maybe catching the fish. So we're gonna have. How many more culture changes can we possibly have in this town with the COVID and everything else that's going on? But if we just keep trying to improve it.
Also, I'm not kind of in that same vein. I should have mentioned. I don't know if you guys were aware, a sea turtle washed up with the tropical storm on Russian Beach. It was already long since injured and dead, but it was just interesting. And NOAA came and checked it out.
Yeah.
And took its head off or something.
There's a loggerhead turtle. Yeah.
Yep.
Other pictures of it. And also, just as a point of information, the rookery at Charles Island took a big hit from the storm. A lot of the, again, as we mentioned before, it was a bad time of year to be having the first storm come through right at fledging time. So all the birds that were up in a tree, the rookery just got decimated. So a lot of the great egrets and snow egrets and cattle egrets and glossy ibis really took a whack over there. So
bummer.
Yeah. And it looks like the whole rookery looks terrible because the salt water came in and all the trees are turning brown. Whatever's left there, most of it looks like it's Allianthus, so it's all crap tree anyway. So I'm not sure what and how Charles Island's going to fare as a bird nesting site in the next couple of years.
Well,
yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, across the street from me, there are 3 juvenile yellow-crowned herons.
They're everywhere this year. There's Karen.
Really?
They're everywhere this year.
Oh, okay.
They have done tremendously well for a bird that was not a northern bird. It was a southern bird.
Okay.
In the last 10 years, they're everywhere. They're nesting everywhere, every place.
No, because one flew on my roof, and I'm like, whoa, what's that? And then there's 3 of them all of a sudden. I'm like, whoa.
You don't want them nesting by your house. You do not want them nesting by your house.
Not my tree. It's across the street.
Oh, yeah, good. Keep them over there, especially when we haven't had a lot of rain. All right, anything else for the good of the order?
I have one thought. What is the group's thoughts of making this meeting a little earlier so we're not running into 9 o'clock at night? Is anyone interested in meeting earlier?
Fine with me. Yep. I think,
Okay.
so what do we want to do? We are at 7:30 now. Do you want to make it 6:30? Is that 6 o'clock? What are you thinking?
7.
What do you think, Cal?
Oh, up to you guys. I mean, I can make myself available whenever, but I'll leave that up to you. I can do as early or as late, but I would prefer a little earlier, but this is your commission, so I'll defer to you guys.
You're Karen, you're muted again.
Hit the microphone.
Just use your hand. Oh, you got to work. That's right.
Am I?
Yeah, you're on now. There you go.
Okay. If you do it now, it's every meeting from hereafter is a special meeting.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah,
So
we can just do it next year too. Yep.
So just so you're aware of that little caveat.
Okay. Kelly, why don't you send out a straw poll to the group and just ask, and then so we don't have to do it right now. We'll just straw poll and see what times look good.
Okay, that sounds good.
Don't do a doodle poll because those things drive me crazy.
Okay.
All righty. Anything else?
I'd like to say something.
I could see that valued customer.
As we get less and less open space in town, and they try to use up every little piece of land. And of course, we're not a regulatory body, but I think if we can get the town council to kind of come up with some ordinances where certain activities, the environmental impact, they ought to ask the Conservation Commission for an opinion. Not that we're going to make decisions, but to give an opinion as far as what is the impact going to be on the environment in these areas. Because when I was a kid, there was plenty of empty lots, and even the heavier populated parts of town, kids would play in these lots, and there's less and less available land for kids just to explore and have adventures and stuff. And we're starting to go up. There was a time when the highest building in town was a 4-story building, and I think that was the old post office. And now we're getting more and more height to buildings, and we're starting to look more like down the line towards New York City. Okay.
5 stories.
I think we need to be a little bit more critical on everything that everybody wants to build in town, and to try to, at least give an opinion. So many people on the Conservation Commission know a lot of different things, and maybe these opinions will be fresh ideas that maybe the or the other boards aren't aware of. That's all I'm saying.
Good. All right, Joe. Good point. Especially, again, we're getting a lot of new people coming into town. We don't know if they're going to stick around for a long time or they're going to come in and go right back out again. But again, our population, I don't know, I haven't seen the demographics of our population in the last 4 months, but I think it's gone up quite substantially from the amount of houses that have been taken. Also, and this really has nothing to do with conservation, but a little bit it does, the amount of usage, like we talked about this before, the amount of usage of our parks. I think Roosevelt Forest has seen a huge amount of more people going through Roosevelt Forest. The beaches, not so much because we're not allowing other towns to come in, but the beaches are being used. But the river is insane right now. I mean, that is everybody that could not get out of their house all felt that they should go buy a boat or a kayak or a canoe or some kind of vehicle that would get them on the water, and they're all out there right now. So it is pretty crazy. And again, that's where you're going to see more turtles getting struck down by watercraft. You're going to see more pollution going in the rivers. The amount of pollution just from the masks and the people just taking they're discarding their PPEs out, just gone, is really just disappointing. But not much I think with the conservation can do about it. But I think as we're doing water quality tests and looking at that may start to see some changes just for the amount of people that are utilizing the resource that they kind of ignored for such a long time. So. All righty. All right, anything else, guys? All right, so wonderful to see everybody. Whoop, good. Everybody
Motion to
good?
adjourn?
All right, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, people, stay safe. We'll see you, hopefully we'll see you in person at some point down the road. We can have an in-person meeting, you know, we can do that. We did talk about that. I just don't know, at this juncture, I am still a little reticent. I think this is a lot easier for some of us to just do this from home. But I do know that, you know, it does cut down on discussion. It cuts down on a lot of things that happen when you're doing it face to face. But let's keep looking at it. Maybe September, October, the October face meeting.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. Take care.
Good night. Take care. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Val.